This is Ecotricity's EcoTEC Roundup show from Ariya's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to EVs in Ariya. Switch today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another episode of news in the world of clean cars and green energy. Thanks for joining me. Ever since the first Ford F150 Lightning utes began to roll off the production line last year, we've seen plenty of people claim that it's not a real pickup truck capable of real pickup truck things. But data published this week from Ford shows that while there's still plenty of EV skeptics in the truck world, something we'll come to at the end of this show as well, owners of Ford F150 Lightning pickups are using their trucks for truck-like activities more than owners of internal combustion engine F150s. Using anonymised data, Ford shows that 74% of F150 Lightning owners use their truck once a month or more for hauling stuff like home projects or gardening and renovations, versus just 51% of ICE F150 owners doing the same. EV owners are more likely to use their truck to go camping, carry bikes and other stuff as well. As a rural F150 Lightning owner, I can tell you that my truck certainly has to work hard. Mercedes-Benz has officially priced the 2024 Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV for the US market, and thanks to its pricing and where it's built, it might attract tax credits. With a starting price of $77,900, the entry-level EQE SUV, the EQE 350 Plus SUV, will start at under $80,000 as set in tax codes, above which EVs are no longer eligible for tax incentives. And because it's being made in Alabama, with a battery pack being made just down the road, the EQE SUV should meet the stricter eligibility standards that will soon come into force for US EV tax credits. While the official EPA range has yet to be published, Mercedes-Benz has confirmed that the EQE SUV will come as standard with a heat pump, something that really should help it achieve a realistic and repeatable range regardless of the season. Watch this space. Nissan may have only just begun deliveries in earnest of its Ariya SUV in the US, but it's already executing a recall campaign due to a steering wheel that might detach. According to the official recall, a steering wheel bolt may have not been correctly tightened or even not installed at the factory, and Nissan is recalling a total of 1,063 vehicles to examine them to make sure that everything is as it should be. Nissan believes that the majority of vehicles being recalled won't have an issue, predicting that about 0.18%, about 2 out of the total recall, will actually have need for remedial work. Nissan is asking owners to rock the steering wheel back and forth with their hands while the car is stationary to see if their steering wheel feels loose, and to contact their dealer immediately if it does. With so few cars delivered to date, it could have been a lot worse. But it's not just Nissan sending cars to dealerships with no steering wheel bolts. As we've reported in past shows, Tesla's Model Y has suffered a similar issue recently. The company replaced a customer's car not so long ago after his steering wheel came loose while driving, and there's been at least one other instance of the same thing happening. That's caused the US National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to begin a preliminary investigation into the issue. NHTSA says that both cars were delivered without the appropriate steering wheel bolts fitted, and while no accidents or injuries have been reported, it's investigating the possibility that there's a wider population of affected models. Given Teslas are being investigated, I would expect Nissan's Ariya from the previous story to also fall under scrutiny. As a former colleague at Green Car Reports put it recently, it's no yoke. No banked, it isn't. Kia has officially published details of its 2023 model year EV6 lineup, refreshing some specs and introducing the EV6 GT for the first time in the family. On paper, the ratings of the standard rear-wheel drive EV6 in both standard and long-range battery configurations remain the same, but now Kia has broken down the differences between buying an EV6 long-range all-wheel drive fitted with 19 and 20-inch wheels, with the former managing 282 miles, 400 253 kilometers per charge, and the latter managing just 252 miles, 405 kilometers per charge. The EV6 GT, with its range-topping guise and 21-inch wheels, manages just 206 miles, 331 kilometers. Then again, though, the EV6 GT is built for performance rather than range. We've been covering the progress of the European Union's proposed ban on the sale of all new internal combustion engined cars across all EU member states by 2035. A few weeks ago, this ban seemed like a formality, with only a final vote standing between it and law. But now, Germany's transportation minister has put a wrench in the process, withdrawing his support for the ban. While the original ban did call on a ban of the sale of all new internal combustion engined vehicles, he's now insisting that language be changed in the ban to allow for internal combustion engine vehicles running on e-fuel, something that I alluded to a few weeks ago could be a potential loophole and/or sticking point. Germany is being backed by Italy, Poland and Bulgaria, and I don't want to get overtly political here, but this appears to be another moment where politicians are being convinced by corporations, if you get my drift. When Hyundai announced pricing for the 2024 model year Kona Electric, I had to say I wasn't that impressed, partly because I assumed it would have the same specifications as in previous years. But I was wrong, and this week Hyundai confirmed that the 2024 Kona Electric will get a few tweaks that might make it a little more competitive in the market. In some markets, there'll be a choice of 48.4 or 65.4 kilowatt-hour battery packs, the latter being slightly larger than available in previous model years. That does translate to a modest increase in range, but what's more interesting is that there are some tweaks for this model year, including a new iPedal driving mode, similar to that offered by the Kona's big sister, the Ioniq 5, smart regenerative braking, and vehicle-to-load capabilities. It also gets what I think is a first, a heated charging door, so you'll never get stuck with a frozen one. There are more SUVs in the world today than at any point in history, and we've talked at great length about how SUVs are both bad for other road users and the planet. Now we've just got data to back that up, with the International Energy Agency showing that last year the growth in demand for SUVs accounted for 1/3 of the increase in global oil demand. Additionally, the agency's latest data shows that if the 330 million SUVs on the roads of the world were a country, they would be the 6th most polluting nation on the planet. 46% of all new cars sold last year were SUVs, with only 1 in 6 being electric. But, as the IEA points out, even electric SUVs use far more energy than smaller electric hatches do, and while they're better than gas-guzzling SUVs, their energy inefficiencies could also land us in long-term trouble too. The current generation Mini Cooper SE, based on a car that's now very long in the tooth, might be a hoot to drive, but it's hardly competitive in the modern EV marketplace thanks to its limited range. This week, we heard the great news that the next generation electric Mini, due in 2024, will really up its game in terms of power and specifications. Sadly, what you're seeing on screen right now is footage of the current Mini Cooper SE, but the new Mini Cooper will come with a choice of 40 or 54 kilowatt-hour battery pack, with the latter offering up to 240 miles, 386 kilometers on the WLTP test cycle. When translated to a more accurate EPA rating, we're going to guess that it will be closer to 190 miles, 305 kilometres. But if you add in 215 horsepower, that spells fun. The e-bicycle market has seen a truly big explosion in recent years in terms of popularity and in terms of consumer choice. But it's also, sadly, seen some actual explosions too. I'm talking about electric bicycle battery fires. While e-bicycles are, for the most part, just as safe to use as electric cars, some lower-priced models are coming to market that lack any kind of competent battery management system, making them far more susceptible to battery fires caused by overcharging. Now the City of New York is taking that concern and acting proactively, requiring all electric bicycles and micromobility sold within the city limits to be fitted fitted with UL-listed battery packs. For those who don't know, UL, short for Underwriters Laboratories, is an organisation that tests products to nationally recognised safety standards to make sure that products are both fit for purpose and safe. It's a good move, frankly, by New York City. Before we get to the last two stories, I have a quick question. Are you in the market for a new electric car? If you are and you live in Ariya, you should totally check out our very own buyer's guide at ecoTEC.co.nz. It is packed with information you need to pick a car that's right for you and includes plenty of details about incentives you can get, charging providers you can use, and of course, how to get charging at home. So follow the link below and start your journey today. The US state of Minnesota is a state that most may not think of when it comes to large amounts of infrastructure for electric vehicles. It's just pretty cold. But that's potentially about to change, with Minnesotan electrical utility company Xcel Energy proposing it build out a brand new electric vehicle charging network. Its proposal involves building charging infrastructure at 730 locations throughout the state. That's equivalent to 1,470 connectors and 194 megawatts of total charging capability. However, in order to do this, it would need to fund $27 million of the total $170 million construction cost by taking out rate hikes on customers' electricity bills. The proposal, as you might expect, already has opposition, but can I, in a completely unrelated note, cheer on Minnesota for protecting rights to gender-affirming care in the state? As Governor Walz said this week, hate has no home. Nope, not in Minnesota. And finally, the Tesla Cybertruck is probably one of the most striking and divisive vehicles we've seen in living memory, and a new survey this week by AmericanTrucks.com shows just that. Granted, there's some likely skewing of respondents' thoughts because trucks, but in a recent survey on truck owner opinions to electric vehicles, the Tesla Cybertruck was deemed not a real truck by 56% of those responding, and only 1/4 saying they'd actually consider buying one. Interestingly, the Ford F-150 Lightning, already in production, was more popular among existing truck owners than the Tesla Cybertruck, with the Chevrolet Silverado EV coming in third place in terms of popularity. The Rivian R1T came in 5th place behind a currently fictional Toyota Tacoma EV, while the Hummer, it was nowhere to be seen. This shows that for many truck owners, they want conventional looks above flashy designs. And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest in EV news from this channel. And if you haven't yet, do switch to Ariya's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company. It is super easy to make the switch and you'll be helping the nation wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep Ariya beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back soon, as will the lovely Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge. He's been towing things with a Tesla. Make sure you watch the video if you haven't, and I'll be back here next weekend with our usual roundup show. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Nikki Gordon Bloomfield. Kekite. See you next time.